This crowd is up there smelling playoffs.
You know what you're going to get with the Lakers. And when the playoffs start, they'll be the favorites in the West.
They said it couldn't be done when the trade was made, that the Nuggets were going right down the tubes. But George Karl has the last lap.
And can you tell there's a little playoff intensity in the Big Easy? The Thunders are division champions.
Well, a team you don't want to see in the postseason. That's what everybody said.
Spurs have made the playoffs every season since. Tim Duncan was drafted by San Antonio back in 1997.
Already locked up that #1 seed in the Western Conference.
This is a franchise that has not made it out of the first round since the 2000 playoffs.
They have a superstar in Nowitzki. They have incredible depth, and they can defend. They do have it all, Ralph, in terms of what you would need to win it all.
The Grizzlies are back in the playoffs. Wherever we play, watch out, we're coming.
Hello again, basketball fans, and welcome to the Western Conference Playoff Preview here on NBA TV. Rick Kamla hanging out with Dennis Scott and Greg Anthony. We're going to take you through the West, and this is how hot the West is. Last night of the regular season, last two games of the regular season, it was Spurs and Phoenix, one possession game, came down to the wire, and the Lakers and Kings went to overtime. The Lakers needed 5 extra minutes to secure that second seed. That's how hot it was in the West.
So I'll let you know this Western Conference is going to be real juicy.
The heat only gets turned up in the playoffs. I've heard that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be interesting because we're going to have that 1-8 matchup that could potentially go either way. And anytime 1 and 8 is competitive, that tells you just how good the West is, top to bottom.
And last year, 1-8 was very competitive. This year, it's San Antonio and Memphis. And let's show you the lay of the land in the West right now. The 1-8, the Spurs and the Grizzlies. That series begins Sunday at 1 on TNT. The 4-5, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. I can't wait. But we're going to have to wait till Sunday night, 9:30 Eastern on TNT to check out Game 1 of that series. The Mavericks and the Blazers are the 3-6. Most picking the upset in that one. That begins Saturday, 9:30 on ESPN. The 2-7, the Lakers and the Hornets. That begins Sunday at 3:30 on ABC. And let's talk more about this matchup right now. The Lakers and the Hornets. The Lakers got out the broom on the Hornets during the regular season, beat them all 4 meetings. The Lakers win 57 games. They're the back-to-back defending champs, trying for the three-peat. 4th team since 1951 to go 17-1 after the All-Star break. Kobe Bryant, franchise leader in games played, in all of the rungs on the ladder that he went up in terms of the all-time scoring list. An incredible season for Kobe. A great season for the Hornets as well. They finished 10 games over 500 in the playoffs for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, this time under new coach Monty Williams, and they lost David West for the season, unfortunately, on March 24th. Phil Jackson's not worried about the past. He's worried about the present and looking ahead. And here is the Zen Master on the current state of his Lakers.
The measure of success is what you've just recently accomplished. It's not what's been accomplished in the past or what we did post All-Star break. So right now, we're back in the middle of the pack playing basketball.
Well, hold on a second. Middle of the pack would be like maybe Portland and New Orleans and Memphis. They're number 2 in the West, and Phil's saying they're middle of the pack. What's up with that?
Well, I think it's safe to say the Zen Master is playing a little mind game with his own team, knowing that they haven't played great basketball the last month of the season. They were playing exceptional basketball right after the break when they went 17-1. Now they're struggling a little bit, and I think he's just trying to motivate his guys, knowing how important it is to try to get that 3rd ring.
There is a sense of urgency that he's trying to bring about, but let's be realistic. This has been a very inconsistent team. When you look at the ebbs and flows that they've had this season, losing 5 in a row a couple times, that's not typically what you would expect from the 2-time defending champs when you have arguably the best player in the league.
Yeah, they went 17-1, then they lost 5, and they won their last 2 to secure that number 2 spot in the Western Conference. And you know what? For more on this matchup, let's bring in Jeff Van Gundy right now, ABC and ESPN analyst. And Jeff, my question to you is, coming off that losing streak, they've won a couple of games here. And I know Bynum got nicked up, but have those 2 wins sort of erased that 5-game losing streak and given you confidence for the Lakers going into the playoffs?
I don't think their play the last couple of weeks would inspire confidence. I think it's their body of work over a number of years that would inspire that confidence. When they are healthy and they're in the right frame of mind, they have the best front court in basketball in Odom, Bynum, and Gasol. And then, they have some, obviously Bryant on the perimeter. And I think they have the balance between perimeter play and post play that you need to win it all.
Jeff, we know Derek Fisher's getting a little long in the tooth. Steve Blake hasn't stepped up a lot. Can Chris Paul really put an imprint on this series, make things interesting?
No. Unfortunately, I think this could be one of those that gets away from New Orleans real quick, because when you look at David West being out, it was the Paul West pick and roll to me that made them hard to guard. Now, Landry's a good player, and particularly off the bench, but I just don't see them having enough firepower or size to really be competitive on the road. I'd be shocked if they were able to get one of those two in L.A., and I think it's going to be a 5-game series, but I don't think that's going to take away from the year that New Orleans has had. I think Monty Williams and his Hornets have a lot to be proud of for playing as well as they have when they really aren't an overly talented team.
Jeff, you make a great point about New Orleans. I also feel the postseason is so much about your ability to get your rhythm, to find that mode that allows you to play your best. And I really felt like the Lakers getting New Orleans in the first round was probably the best thing that could have happened for them, because it will allow them to get some guys going that have struggled in a lot of ways all season. Ron Artest in particular, maybe a guy like Steve Blake if he's healthy. And I think that could really allow this team to hit that stride that everybody's kind of expected to see all season long.
I think that's a good point. You think back to, last night, if Sacramento closes hard to Bryant and takes away a three-point shot that ends up tying it and sending it into overtime, we're talking about Dallas having that type of series and then hosting L.A. in the second round if L.A. was able to negotiate through Portland. So I think matchups are critical. I think you build momentum up in the playoffs, and I think because I think they're going to get their confidence back by winning, but also I think they're going to get the adequate rest between the first round and the second round. I think they're really set up well, or as well as they could be, not being the top seed.
Jeff, we appreciate the insights on Lakers and Hornets. A little while later in this show, we'll be talking with you about the Spurs and the Grizzlies.
All right, thanks for having me.
Always great to spend a minute or two with Jeff Van Gundy. And let's shift gears here. Scott Howard Cooper of NBA.com is saying on Twitter that Phil is hinting that he might sit Andrew Bynum in Game 1 of this series with the Hornets, despite Bynum receiving medical clearance from that knee injury that he suffered a couple of days ago, which leads us into Dennis Scott's key matchup, which is Bynum versus Okafor. How worried are you about young Andrew?
I wouldn't say I'm super worried because the Lakers are solid, but if New Orleans think they have a chance, Okafor has to play out of his mind. He has to get back to blocking shots and slowing Bynum down. You look at this injury, looks a little murky. You see the hyperextension, so you have to wait the game time and see what the Lakers do. But back to Okafor. He has to slow him down, Pau Gasol down, and of course Lamar Odom coming off the bench to help out. If Okafor can get out there and make things happen, now of course, you made a good point earlier, no David West, of course things are going to be different. But Okafor, I hate to put all this pressure on you, but it really lies on your shoulders. You have to patrol the lane. And, of course, Chris Paul does what he does. But if this guy can just get 10 and 10, few blocks, maybe he makes things interesting.
Emeka Okafor, double-double guy, almost 2 blocks per game. He's going to need to do better than that against the L.A. Lakers. Right. Let's move on here to the X factor with Greg Anthony.
And, for me, this is more about winning a championship than it is winning this series. I just don't think New Orleans can be that competitive. But when you look at it from Ron Artest's standpoint and the bench, I think those are the two areas that you got to get impact from if you're L.A. and you want to win that championship. Ron Artest has had Well, he's been inconsistent. That's kind of becoming synonymous with Ron Artest in the regular season, just not putting up the numbers. Defensively, though, I don't think he's been as porous. He's going to have to be better in the postseason. And then that bench. You know, the advantage the Lakers have, I think their margin for error is larger than most teams because you do have Kobe, you do have Gasol, you do have Odom. But they're going to have to get contributions from guys like Steve Blake at some point, Matt Barnes at some point, and then Ron Artest, he's going to have a couple breakout games, much like he did last year in the finals. That really got them over the hump against the Celtics.
And when you talk about the margin for error, the Lakers got a 6 of 24 from Kobe in Game 7 against the Celtics, and they still won that basketball game and the championship, which speaks to your point. Let's move on right here and show you the series schedule between the Lakers and the Hornets. Game 1 can be seen and found Sunday, 3:30 on ABC. Game 2 Wednesday, 10:30 on TNT. April 22nd, it'll be Game 3 in New Orleans at 9:30 on ESPN. TNT has Game 4 also from New Orleans, and we'll see how it goes from there. You know, Phil Jackson loves the asterisk, but not if he has to play 5, 6, and 7 against the New Orleans Hornets. Let's get some predictions here on this series. Broomsticks in play?
Well, I would like to see if Chris Paul can really put his imprint in the series, really play super, but I do have my broom in my back pocket.
I'm going to have to concur with my cohort here. I just don't know, as great as Chris Paul is, with the style the Hornets have, if he can impose enough of a will to get a game against the defending champs.
I agree with you guys. It's been a great season for New Orleans, a lot of partying in the regular season. I don't know if there's going to be any partying here in the postseason. They're 5-5 since David West went down. David West, we will see you next year. We'll see all of you out there in TV land on the other side of this break. We're coming back to talk about the team that won the West in the regular season, the San Antonio Spurs. They're first place. They're taking on the 8-seeded Memphis Grizzlies. We talk about this matchup when we return.